In your book, you talk about building a culture of joy. Could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I talk a lot about building a culture of joy in your family, and there's a kind of when my kids were younger, and I'm sure most of you who are listening today have, children who've not wanted to do their chores or do their routines and things like that. And I would get lots of questions from parents working with their families on how to get kids to, do their chores, do their homework, do the things they had to do. And I also feel like part of this is really pertinent because I grew up in a family where that was more authoritarian in the way that I was parented. So if we didn't do it, then there was a severe punitive consequence, right? And it made me do it, but I did it because I was afraid, not because I felt like it was something I wanted to do. So that for me, growing up feeling that distress and fear around not doing the things I was supposed to do, really translated later into a lot of rebellious behavior and resistance and those kinds of things. So when I had my own children, I really wanted to consciously create an environment where they wanted to do whatever the thing was. And so we had a rule in our house. If you can't do it with joy in your heart, you're not allowed to do it. That included homework, chores, spending time together. They had to be in a space of joy in order to do the thing. Now, when I would talk about these in my lectures to parents, they would say, oh, well, how do you do that? That makes no sense. But what would happen was when my kids would consciously choose, I'm going to do this joyfully, and I'm going to get it done, they would do it in a much more present way, and they would also be a lot more invested in the outcome, and they would be a lot more proud of themselves. So what would happen is it would start to build this intrinsic sense of their own competency. And literally, I would say, you are not allowed to wash the dishes. If you are not in a space of joy, the dishes you're not allowed to do that chore today. And, of course, if you just leave this after hearing this and you go into your kitchen and try it, they're going to test you. They're not going to believe you at first. It's going to take a few times down the mountain before they realize this is what we're doing now. But what I found is that kids are super, super flexible and adaptable. And when we as the parents change, they change. And I think creating that culture and being, not only did it hold them responsible for participating in our family in a very positive way, but it also held me responsible because I couldn't then have a tantrum because the groceries needed to come in or the floor needed to be vacuumed. I had to really get myself to that place of joy and figure out how to have gratitude between my ears when I'm doing this chore. Instead of, a lot of us will do our chores with this, oh, I can't believe it, that kind of an attitude within our heads. But what's happening when we're doing that is we're not opening ourselves up to the opportunity to have a really positive interaction with ourselves and with our families in those moments.